All right, we are live. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This is Stone Guy 223, experiencing a little technical difficulty. So I just went ahead and started this up by myself. See if we can get the invites in here. I don't know what's going on, so well, there's Sully. So
Hey, we're already live?
yeah, I got a couple messages from people saying that Google was messing up and they couldn't get anywhere. So
I got in one shot, nice and smooth.
well, it's just you're the
It's
man. So
I'm good like that.
yep, yep, yep.
Oh,
So anyway, no, I just figured I'd start it up, and if no one joined in, I'd keep it rolling
right.
till everybody got on the same page. But now, did you get this through TAC? Did TAC
No,
post it in the chat?
I got it through the Google Plus feed.
Okay, sweet, good deal.
So yeah, I got that on feed, and I will do you the favor here. I'm gonna check YouTube and see if you're broadcasting properly.
Awesome.
Man, hmm, hmm. I don't think you're
Yeah, I don't
showing.
know.
Oh,
See,
yep,
even
yeah, you're showing in
okay,
YouTube.
cool.
There's a
Because
there's a, there's like a 3 minute delay on the before YouTube comes up.
yeah, that must be what it is. But even our gun channels thing was lagging. Like I logged on to gun channels and it was jacked up. So I didn't
Oh,
know what the deal was. But
well, if there's a problem on the Google side, it won't. It's going to delay everywhere. So, um, now we Tech and I were just talking about some of the fun stuff that's going to be coming up at Shot Show, which I going to be going to and looking forward to.
cool, cool.
And then, of course, I know the guys when they get in here, and Guns and Such froze up before he left.
Yeah, he's the one that sent me a text, and he was saying something about can't
Yeah,
get in, can't get
yeah,
the
his
invite to go
stuff
through.
locked up. I don't know what was going on.
So that must just be on his end then. So
Yeah,
anyway,
but
well, cool. Well, people will filter in here, and like I said, tonight was
seeing as how it's just the two of us right now,
yeah,
let,
we have the
let,
floor.
I know it's weird. Um, what's your opinion on that New York thing? The guy who got choked out, who had an asthma attack at the same time he's getting choked out and died.
Yeah, to me, from the reports that I've read, what he was accused of doing is really just a ticket offense. Oh shit! Hold on, son. What happened, buddy? Did you lose a tooth? Oh, okay. Hang on one second. My son just
No
walked
worries,
in with
man.
a bloody mouth. Hang on one second.
Oh boy, you go take care of that.
Yeah.
Oh, seems how there's people watching. If anybody's a football fan, Cowboys are up 27 or 21-7, I believe, right now. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going. How you guys doing tonight?
Oh well, we're actually live right now because I guess we were having issues and Stone fired it up. So we
Fun.
seem to be doing all right. We were just starting to talk about that the guy in New York. The
Oh, the stranglehold guy.
yeah, and Stone had to deal with his kid real quick. But yeah, it seemed like a massive excessive force thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not a cop. I didn't have to take him down, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It, if you've watched the video, if you watch the video, it's just like, wow, that was wholly unnecessary.
There was a lot of people there at the same time, so I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It's like the trending thing in the media for the last month has been police overreach and
Well,
blacks versus whites.
Yeah, well, the race baiting's bullshit.
Yeah, it's getting annoying.
I hate that. But now, as far as the Ferguson thing, I'm gonna catch some shit here. If you fight with a cop and reach for his gun, you probably deserve to get shot.
You're gonna get shot. That's just how that
like,
works.
That's it. Stop destroying your city because you're being retarded.
Yeah.
And then there was another thing I heard about recently where I think I saw it on Facebook or something. Some kid, and I'm gonna leave the race out of it, make people wonder. Some kid went and did an armed robbery on a store, and a concealed carry holder shot him. And the mother's pissed at the concealed carry holder, saying, just because my son went and robbed a store with a gun doesn't give you the right to shoot him.
Yeah. That happens. That happens all the time. God, someone wrote an open letter to the mothers of all criminals that have been shot by good guys during a bad, when they're doing something bad, and it was just like, stop apologizing. Can't remember. I think Matt from the Bank Switch shared that at one time. It was a good article. Everybody's kid is such a good kid until he's pointing a shotgun at somebody trying to kill him.
Yeah, and the second you go and rob a store or hold somebody up or carjack somebody, if you're doing something criminal with a firearm, I don't give a shit what your age is. You get shot just the same.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you see something that's kind of interesting that I read today? The FBI finally, they posted out some statistics on the numbers of different people that have been shot by police this year. And they said that 158 African-American males have been killed by police officers in America in 2014. You want to guess how many white people have been shot by cops this year and killed?
Shot and killed, I don't know, 30.
300 something, right?
Yeah, 390 something white Americans have been killed by police officers.
Really? Now, see, I would have stereotypically thought that statistic would be the other way.
No, white people, we do just as bad stuff.
Oh, no, I understand that wholly.
But I get
I'm not discounting that, but
it goes to show you it's the media proportionally blows it to one side because they like to race bait and they want to start race war kind of crap and get people all upset over something. And when the facts, the FBI has been always dropping all sorts of facts that just totally blow everything out of the water as far as the media is concerned. They'll ignore it.
I feel like whoever's responsible at the FBI for releasing these reports is pro-gun.
Yeah.
Do you really think that it's as much about race baiting as it is just a distraction tool? Like, hey, don't pay attention to the real issue. The real issue is the state. They get to work with impunity on anything. They print money. It's called fiat currency. We print money. It's called counterfeiting.
Actually. Just watching the thing on.
No, I agree with that. Now, as far as the Ferguson thing goes, yeah, do I think at some level it's a distraction? Do I think that it was blown up to increase civil unrest? Yes. Race baiting definitely has a part in it. But now, getting away from the mainstream media side of things, that police department handled that situation terribly.
Yeah, it was just a fallout. The media didn't make it any easier for them to do their jobs either. Everybody will make a bad call. I think once the bad call was made, it was just a series of avalanches and everything just snowballed.
Right, well, it was like they made one bad call and then backed that up with a worse call and then backed that up with another bad call.
Yeah, they're pretty ridiculous when it comes to that. I don't know. But, at the same time, though, this week, they're getting ready to launch the Orion rocket, which is really cool. That's going to take us to Mars. They've found a cure or a vaccine for Ebola that has no side effects. We haven't heard anything about that. All this other really cool stuff that humanity's doing.
Yeah, I'm not buying the whole Ebola vaccine thing, but the Orion thing, where did that even come from? Because I just heard about this today. And I'm like,
no one reported on it. It doesn't get you.
Look,
it doesn't get you sensational.
space exploration or any advancements in aviation that don't cost billions and billions of dollars that we don't have, it doesn't make news.
Yeah, but
People
I
don't
thought
care
like
about that.
NASA like was shut down.
No,
Like
no, they're not.
who the hell's paying for this? Or
They,
where
no,
is it coming from?
NASA's still got a budget. It's just their budget isn't big enough to run the space shuttle.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
They
if they
have
wanted
to-
to do the Orion, they had to cut the space shuttle program.
All right.
Right.
I thought they pretty much just pulled the plug on it altogether because I don't live far from that Cape Canaveral area, and I know like when they pulled the plug on that, like people like the hundreds of people lost their jobs and just like
Right.
it just shut it down.
And that's because the shuttle was a reusable craft. They're going back to these one-time use rockets like the old Mercury and Saturn programs.
Because it's super America. We like everything to be fire and forget. Launch into space. Who cares?
Everything disposable.
Yeah, javelin missile, $80,000 out the window. You know, like,
Yeah, an
Shoot.
AT-4 that works more often than a Javelin does is like $200 to make.
yeah, the Hellfire missile, $67,000.
And the
missile.
Hellfire is more effective, but you know, I don't like the Javelin missile system. By the way, it takes like 8 minutes to designate a target and then shoot, and then half the time the missile doesn't work.
And it's heavy.
And it is heavy as a bastard. But wow, we're really jumping around right now. Went from space to travel.
You want to go back to police overreach
No,
or something?
I would gladly talk about aeronautical stuff or firearms. I can stay out of the political crap all day. I really like the advancements in flights. For example, Spaceship Two there crashed. One of the pilots died. That lasted about 30 seconds in the news.
Yeah.
Now,
Well, that was privatized. You know, they're not going to want to say much because they're probably going to be investigated for that, and they're going to make sure it wasn't like some crazy error deal or.
They're not. Privatized spaceflight is exactly that. How much does the FAA or the government look into Cessna 182 hitting the ground?
Quite a
Pilot
lot,
error.
especially when they hit a government building or something.
No, Cessna 182 is a single-engine prop-driven aircraft. It's small.
Yeah, didn't some guy just crash one of those into somebody's house in like California?
Yeah, I think so actually.
We had a guy here that got mad, and he crashed his small little plane into his old office building in Texas a few years back.
And it wasn't like the IRS building, or some other guy at least flew one into an IRS building. I know that once.
Yeah.
How's the fallout in Texas over that guy shooting up the Mexican consulate?
It's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if y'all heard the video where there's actually the shots recorded. Because it does not sound semi-auto. Like, that is a slide fire full auto gun. It's just 2 to 3 round, like, super rhythmic bursts. Nobody.
Can I interject one thing? Just for peace of mind, my trigger finger is good for 11 rounds a second.
Oh yeah.
So just putting it out there.
No, I get you. And I shoot pretty fast too, but it's more like the
cyclic rate.
Yeah, it's super rhythmic. Like it doesn't have the same sound as normal semi-auto, but because he's generally shooting like 2 or 3 round bursts, it sounds like he's shooting slide fire and then messing it up. But anyway, that wasn't actually a big deal. The kind of big deal is the APD guy, Art Acevedo, is now saying, like, if you know anybody that's, full of hate or is angry all the time and is a gun enthusiast, report him to the Austin police and we'll vet him out. Like, that pissed me off.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff there.
Yeah, Tac Daddy and I, when we were off air, because it just popped up in my Facebook feed, we're talking about that and how it's so fucked up. It's not even funny.
Yeah,
I was thinking like we need to start a movement to where freaking YouTubers all across the nation just flood that Austin police with calls, just random people, random addresses, to the phones ringing off the hook to where you're just like, please stop calling us. We can't take it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm about to catch hate. I know I will with what I'm about to say. I don't necessarily agree with those slide fire stocks.
I don't like them either. I think they're stupid.
Well,
yeah,
I mean the function like the sloppiness in the stock and everything
And
notwithstanding.
the price tag is ridiculous. It's
I
injected
don't-
molded plastic.
Like,
Not $400 worth of plastic.
yeah, well, that's, I don't even know what the price point is. That shit like that is gonna get people in trouble.
I don't think it'll get anybody in trouble. It's just
Well, when
it's a
it's
novelty
used-
item. It has no practical purpose in practical
Yeah,
shooting.
right up until someone
it's-
uses it in a mass shooting.
Right, exactly. And then it's yeah.
Oh,
that's
all it's going to do is just they're going to just come in and squash it. I mean, there's been all kinds of lightning links and
Hold on,
you know,
let's talk about the
step
mainstream
around.
media and how they push things, because somebody sticks a slide fire stock on that and does something bad with it, and it vindicates all this bullshit assault rifle nomenclature and stereotyping.
So
Yeah.
There's an
Along
evil
those
black rifle
lines.
right there.
it is. It's a stamped one at that. But along those lines, with that out of the way, there's a ton of people that say this makes it fucking full auto, which is garbage. Like,
Oh, I know, I
this
understand
isn't the
that.
full auto bullshit. Like, that's the problem with the media, is they're going to say, full auto bolt carrier converting his semi-auto to that's, you can't
Right.
trust them to use logic at all.
I mean, well, it takes a rational person about 8 seconds to figure out that it's the actual trigger group and the fact that the sear is what controls auto and semi-auto. It takes 10 seconds to figure that out if you're rational. But if you're a crazy anti-gun person who won't listen to any kind of reason, well, that asshole who said that it shoots like, I don't remember, like 100 rounds a second, 30, whatever.
30 calibers.
Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking to ignorant people. They don't understand. I mean, I have a full auto lower, and like the lower is totally machined out different. I mean, it's not just a new trigger group or the
Right.
sear. Like the lower receiver,
Your back
is
shelves cut
complete-
differently.
Yeah, it's like
thinner out by your
completely
teal.
milled differently. I mean, so it's like, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do.
There-
I mean, not only is it like, hard to get the parts, hard to get the, you probably, I would probably assume, like, if you order a sear off of Brownells or whatever, you're probably red flagged at some point. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
well,
assume.
Did you guys hear about the company that's making 80% receivers where they have they got the fun switch cut out and the shelves cut down to accept the full auto sear? It's a full auto lower minus the fact that it's not 100% complete.
unless it functions in full auto, it's not a full auto lower.
Technically,
From what
yeah.
from what I
The
understand,
moment you machine the
you could-
rest of it, you've made a machine gun. And I
Well-
don't get why they think they can get away
well,
with selling
it's-
that.
it's the sear
Because it's
pin.
80% lower, it is up to the individual to do the right thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
that'll go
is
real
the-
far with the ATF.
Is that
Actually-
third pin drilled?
Yeah, they cut the shelf out and they drill the third pin for you. You just have to complete the other 80% of the
Okay,
fucking
yeah,
build.
that's
No,
great.
hold on, because this is going to blow your mind. You're talking about Ares armor, right?
And it's not Ares Armor making it.
Oh, okay. Well, Ares is the one where the ATF just raided their shop illegally, and the ATF's going through hell because they did that. An 80% lower isn't serialized. You have the right.
Oh, I'm dude, I'm a gunsmith. I'm totally aware of how that works, but
Then
just
every
same
for
time.
the general public, for the general audience, all of us have the right to manufacture a firearm for our personal use. It only becomes illegal if we try to sell it.
Yeah.
I can build whatever the fuck I want. Unless
No, I wouldn't violate any laws. I would recommend you not violate
Well, I
any
mean,
NFA
I-
laws when you're building your homemade firearms.
well, I mean, no, because technically, if you built it and it's not more than 80% complete from the parts that you buy, it's not serialized. Therefore, it's not registered in any fashion, with making it legal.
Well, if it fall, I would just say if you're gonna make a gun, make sure it's legal, barrel length, legal overall length,
Right.
semi-automatic, the whole 9 years. I wouldn't be going home and saying making Sten guns and just be like, well, I made it, therefore it's totally legal. You're gonna want to have a Class 7 SOT and file the paper.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's
so those lowers are just
stipulations, but
There's plenty of stipulations, but if you can't fight with the amount of money it would take you to fight them in court to prove your
Right.
stipulation, it's not worth it. And all I'm saying is the company's just trying to, poke at the ATF, and it's like, they've been better at letting all these other cool things through. I mean, why sit there and start poking them with, yeah, look at me, I'm making a full auto 80% lower and selling it to the public. That's just asking for more trouble. We don't need that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't really have too much of an issue with 80% lowers. The full auto
Oh,
is it
me
necessary?
neither.
No. But you being a gunsmith, you know that if you know what needs to be done and have any machining talent whatsoever, you can modify a lower.
Oh yeah, all day. It's not difficult, but it's just not worth going to jail. And I just think by putting out a product that can get someone to get into trouble, yeah, it's just not cool in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh no, and I respect that. I'm just saying you're thinking rationally. Somebody who's going to do that probably isn't a rational person and is buying that receiver specifically to dodge the laws.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, man. My kid walked in with a face full of blood and a paper towel in his hand, and I'm like, what in the world? So he pulled his teeth out. I'm like, Jesus, dude.
Well, the wonders of parenting, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now I gotta come off $5 too.
Well, let's see. You missed it. I guarantee I've already pulled some hate off this chat.
Oh yeah. Where are we at?
Oh, we're talking about some random shit like slide fire stocks and the fact that one of those companies, kind of like Aries, are.
Yeah, but you can't go. Stone Guy flipped the script. He's all about full auto now.
Oh, apparently, I'm not even gonna try to say this, but a bum fire stock.
Bump
Nice typo.
or slide fire.
Well, yeah, apparently you can get it for $99. That's probably not the high-end slide fire, but does the job.
The prices are still ridiculous for some plastic.
Holy shit! I didn't catch anybody hate. I didn't catch any hate on here. Somebody actually agreed with me. That's scary. I need to like go to sleep now.
Well,
I must be dreaming.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, definitely I was gonna say the slide fire. I mean, ever since I got to mess around with all those full auto guns, I'm definitely a fan of full auto as far as just going out to, have a good day at the range. Now, I still stand behind the practicality aspect of full auto, either in being tactically advantageous. I still don't agree with that. Other than a suppressive fire in a military operation, but they're fun. They're definitely fun. Now, the slide fires and that kind of thing, to me, I'm not a fan of those personally.
Only thing that I think you can put a slide fire or bump stock on that would make any rational sense would be one of those. Is it an Aries 16 or that like a belt fed AR upper and having a slide fire stock? That'd be legit, because then you have like a legal saw essentially. But for just an M4, you're just gonna burn your gas tube up, and it's pointless.
Well, and I tell you, the other thing I realized, or experienced, I guess I should say, was the fact that honestly, how quick you go through ammo is ridiculous. I mean,
yeah, Hollywood ruins that for you. You think it's like you're gonna run a magazine for like a second or 2-3 seconds, and it's gone in like a second.
Yeah, I mean, when I was training with the 249, the saw in basic, you tear through a 100-round belt in 7 seconds or less, some shit like that. Crazy high rate of fire, and it's suppressive only. The only other time it's useful, room clearing. Come around a corner that there's a threat somewhere, you got 1 second and 30 rounds, dump all 30. Just cut the whole corner.
Yeah, pretty much some machine guns and belt-fed machine guns are, that's the only practical use for fully automatic. I mean, rifles should, you can get most work done with a semi-auto rifle anyway.
Absolutely.
Well, you're forgetting the most important thing that full autos bring, and that's full-on freedom boners.
Yeah, that too.
Well, don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. I love shooting full auto, but every time I've shot a full auto M16, the first time I was not prepared for how much that thing pushed back. Like I'd shot M60s before and they stay right on target. That M60 or M16 started pushing me back and pulling up.
Well,
Second drag I did,
you
like,
gotta remember the peg weighs what, 38 pounds?
yeah, it's
And
stupid.
it's lighter than that.
But
No, I'm talking full
well,
Well, full
Vietnam
loaded
style.
weight,
but
sure.
But M16s, so if somebody converts an AR-15 to full auto or slide fire, like that mag is gone in no time, and it is hard to keep those on target. I can get around like 6 shots on an M16 on target before it starts
What
going
barrel
crazy.
length were you shooting?
Hey, real
which
quick.
one?
The M16.
I've shot a 10.5 and a couple 16s.
How much do you weigh?
Gauges on 'em?
Right now I'm about 155. So
You didn't have any muzzle brakes or anything on her, just a bird cage, right?
yeah, no it's just bird cage.
It won't knock you over, but it does have a little push to it.
No, yeah,
If you're
yeah.
not expecting
Well,
it, yeah.
It's not
hold
gonna
on,
knock
remember,
you over, but it's not like that thing will start to move.
he said the first one he was unprepared for. I'm assuming you've learned how to lean into him by now and get him on target. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will push you back, but I mean, I
Okay,
don't know.
so-
I'm like 260 pounds, so it kind of doesn't. It has to push a little harder, I guess.
He just one-hands him on full auto.
So real quick, back to Sully right before I had to leave. You asked me about the thing in New York.
Yeah, to get your opinion on the New York. Yep.
Okay, yeah. So the fact of the matter is that the offense the guy was accused of was really just it should have been a citation. In all honesty, I mean, there's no reason. He was selling cigarettes or something, right?
Yeah, illegal cigarettes in New York.
Yeah.
That's like it's a misdemeanor crime.
Well, it's a misdemeanor, right? So you probably had some overzealous officers that wanted to, make a collar, but bust this guy for whatever, regardless of why they decided to go hands-on with this guy. You don't know what led up to the.
The video's pretty good on that one, actually.
Oh, see, I didn't see. I haven't watched.
Yeah. There's a full video where this guy literally, you watch this man essentially be killed on the street.
Yeah, see, I don't like watching
The guy put him in a rear naked choke, drove him to the ground, and held on. I mean,
Yeah, no.
I can drop a full-grown man in 3 seconds with that choke.
Well, now
And he argues his point pretty good. He's like, leave me alone. I'm not really doing anything out there. The thing that a lot of people are saying that he challenged their authority, and that's why they came down on him heavy-handed.
Okay, so that's what I was getting at. Not that that's an excuse, but there was some verbal exchange previous to them going hands-on with this guy.
Yeah, but it wasn't. Look, you're a police officer. I was a correctional officer. We know to look for gross motor activity, to look for violence. It could have been diffused verbally. It could have been broken down. There was no reason for 4 guys and somebody to come up behind him and get it wrapped around a guy.
Absolutely, I agree 100% with that. So let's break this down. So you've got a verbal altercation that could have been de-escalated either by the suspect or the officers at any point. Didn't happen. You've got an offense that, even by their own statutes, is just a misdemeanor and is a citation. There's no reason. It doesn't require them to be, detained, locked up, and bailed out. So that didn't happen for whatever reason. So you're probably right as far as, the guy may have been getting belligerent with the officers, saying, whatever the case was, and the officers get their fucking feelings hurt. They get their little, Napoleon syndrome and decide to show them who's boss, show him who's really in control, and that's unfortunate. Now, when you take it even further, and you go to the fact this guy had a medical issue, that's where it really becomes an unfortunate, unforeseeable circumstance. Now, you know, there's all sorts of times that officers and suspects, for that matter, will get into a verbal altercations that gets a little heated. They'll be detained, restrained, and until everybody cools down. A lot of times after that, if it's just a citable, or an offense that just requires a citation, they'll generally write the citation, uncuff you, be on your way. So
what do you do if that person has a record of doing this multiple times? Because he have a record of this?
Well, if they got as far as running his name, his paperwork.
I don't know if they ran his name.
I don't think they got that far, but
yeah,
I mean it's not to say that like one of the other guys didn't have prior knowledge of who he was.
Right.
Like,
well, and that's the thing.
Because they said he was like arrested for 15 times or something. He's got a pretty long rap sheet, but it was all minor stuff.
And that's no excuse. It doesn't matter, just because someone's a criminal, you can't. And I know that's hard to sit back and say. You can't look at them for what they're past. You have to look at them for what's going on in front of you. Now, that's hard to separate a lot of times, especially if it's a small, let's say hypothetically it's a small town. This guy's a career criminal, and every time you come in contact, he's generally going to jail for something. Let's put it in
that context of what it is, though. This is New York, and I don't think they had time to run his name.
I figured if they knew that he had done it beforehand, if you keep doing the same crime, doesn't the penalty increase over time? No.
A crime is a crime. It doesn't. You don't. You're
offenders where it becomes a
your punishment may like if you've been in front of this judge 4 times for the same shit, that judge could impose. He has the ability to. You have mandatory minimums and maximums on different offenses. So typically, let's say that your first offense, the judge has the ability to just give you probation. But that law states that as a maximum penalty, you could face 5 years in jail. So the first time he gives you 12 months probation. The second time he gives you 18 months probation. Because they don't want to clog up the system for something silly. Well, now then the third time, that judge has the discretion to maybe give you a year in jail, actual jail or prison, and so yes, in that sense of, your punishment could become more severe depending on how many times you go before this that judge. But anyway, the fact of the matter is this guy was killed, which is horrible, and it's not to say that I'm not defending, because I think the officers were pricks in the first place. But if this guy hadn't had that medical condition,
which they were unaware of,
would have never. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This would have never been an issue. They would have,
they could have treated him, and he could have still died.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's been cases of that where you deploy a taser, someone has a heart palpitation, and they have a heart attack or something, they die. And then everybody wants to use that statistic of tasers kill people. Well, no, that guy had pre-existing medical conditions, which under those extenuating circumstances led to his death. When you introduce this outside stimulant, whether it was a rear naked choke or a taser, that set in motion that medical condition which led to his death. So I don't really want to say you can't blame the officers for killing him, because they did, but if that guy hadn't had a medical condition, this would have never been,
He didn't die because of the medical condition. The coroner ruled it a homicide by strangulation.
Oh, what I heard was that
it was a heart attack.
As soon as he laid down on the ground, he would have been dead because of his of his
The
asthma.
airway constriction or whatever.
Yeah, like it didn't even
Well,
have to.
if you're truly being choked, you can't sit there and say I can't breathe. They've always
Well,
that's a different fact too.
I literally just watched the video today.
I saw it on the news tonight.
I hadn't seen it. No, I actually watched the full version on YouTube, which is amazing that you can watch people die on YouTube. Anyways,
Yeah, they're becoming more like Live Leak.
yeah.
All right, seeing how the video is fresh in your mind, would you being a correct or having prior? You said you were a corrections officer.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Well,
Our rules are different, so
uh,
I would, in my
do
position,
you believe that Eric Gardner was resisting arrest, or was he just kind of? They kind of moved in all together simultaneously and just started gang piling him.
Yeah, I
don't
dude,
think he was really.
I'm gonna say it like this. I think the cops are wrong in this instance, and especially because it's so out there in the media because of Ferguson. Look, the dude in Ferguson got shot because he got in a fight with a cop and was reaching for his gun.
Yeah, that guy's a jackass.
The guy in New York, that should not have happened. I think that cop, the fact that they aren't indicting him for a murder charge, is fucking amazing. It's a ticketable offense.
At least
That's not the proper reaction.
Manslaughter at the very least.
Or manslaughter. And I'll agree to that, but he should be doing time. He should be charged.
Well, or at least be charged and put up on a trial. At least have the day in court.
Exactly. The fact that he's walking around free right now and has no worries about it because he's been cleared by a grand jury is bullshit.
I completely agree.
Now, that's where I stand on it. I mean, in corrections, though, now, just to give you the difference in corrections, when I worked doing that, which was a short amount of time because I did not like it, I would know the medical history. I would know the threats and all of that. So,
well, you just mentioned the body movement,
right? Well, that's called
and
gross motor activity. When somebody's really about to get physical, they'll start, big movements with their arms and their whole body. They'll start to sway, and those are indications that you're about to have a physical altercation. Now, I'm Italian a little bit, talk with my hands. But there's a difference between when I'm just talking to a normal person or when I'm getting aggravated.
Yeah.
Now, that comes with training and time, and you learn these things. And
now, he did start swaying his arms around.
Yeah, he was getting frustrated.
He was resisting arrest.
But his hands were in a neutral posture, up here. He wasn't, reaching towards people hey, man, don't, he was... And he was saying he couldn't breathe when he was standing up, and he had his hands up. He's like, I can't breathe, and the cops didn't want to listen to him.
I mean, and there was one point where he had his one arm just kind of stuck out, his palm, open, hand open wide. I mean, and that to me just looked like he was just kind of like, hey, I give, I'm tapping or whatever, and they just, I don't know, it just.
And that's the thing. I didn't even, to be perfectly honest. Some of these stories I don't know about till they're right out in front of me. I didn't know about this one till today. Well, maybe yesterday I heard something about it, but I didn't really decide to look at it till today. So I'm getting all of it at once. And this happened in July?
According to you, you think the officer straight up killed this dude?
Well, no. Murder, I don't know, manslaughter maybe more likely, but I think between the fact it's a ticketable offense to the way they reacted, I think it's a way beyond what was warranted in that situation.
Yeah, hindsight, I would think everybody involved, if they could look back, they would have approached it totally different. Even Eric Gardner himself. This fits the description of manslaughter. I'd
be willing to say more manslaughter than murder, but the coroner ruled it a homicide or a murder, but I don't know how far that goes into things. Stone, I'm not a cop. You are.
Well, I don't know anything about how that all plays out.
I don't know how the investigation end of that works, but I think it should have gone to trial. That's my opinion.
I don't think so. It was an accident. At the end of the day, the guy was resisting arrest. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You know,
well, that's the thing.
I'm a little bit colder on it.
He was, I don't know. I'm assuming from what other people are saying, he was resisting, and so that's A. But really,
Yeah, but it's
the more important thing, even besides all that, the most important thing, because even if you are resisting, that doesn't give anybody the right, especially a police officer that's held to a higher standard, and it doesn't give anybody the right to kill you or to beat you to inches of your life just because you're resisting. Now,
I didn't see them. To me, it didn't appear like they were trying to beat the man. They were trying to subdue the man, and they weren't trying to just straight out murder.
Trying to subdue him. But my whole thing is like the resisting arrest thing or whatever. When you have 4 or 5 guys kind of closing in on you, and one starts to choke you or whatever, I don't know if you've ever been in a choke scenario, like any Krav Maga or anything like that. I mean, I think he was incredibly docile.
That was a big man.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he could have easily just manhandled that dude that was on his back. He had just flipped him over, or hell, I would have fallen back into that plate glass window or something. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is the procedure, kind of like the Ferguson thing, and this is where it relates most. Not the political side, the procedure. The offense does not warrant that kind of reaction.
It doesn't warrant the reaction from the offender either. He could have just put his hands in front of him and gone to jail, and he would be alive today. Resisting arrest is a separate crime, and you don't know why he's resisting arrest. Does he have a weapon on him? You have to take it to that level. If he would have complied and fought his case in court, he would be alive today. It was his choice to do that, not the officer's choice. The officer didn't wake up that morning like, I'm going to kill somebody.
Takes 4 cops to write a ticket.
It's funny.
They call him back if you don't want to be alone.
Hold on, let's not go there. But the fact of the matter is, I want to bring up one of the most important aspect of this whole thing is the fact that this guy did have a medical issue. He was a ticking time bomb. Now, just because the officer's actions, maybe advanced his demise, that any other, like, there again, I didn't see the video. There's tactics used if he was being belligerent or resisting, a rear naked choke, or there's all sorts of things to do to maintain control over suspects so that other people can get handcuffs and restrain him. So,
what's training for that situation? I know you've been through the armament course of police training also. So what is the training for that situation? Don't ever apply a blind naked choke and take someone to their stomach. That is a never do situation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's there again. That's why, and that's where you gotta. It's a gray area between training, protocol, and instinct. If you're in a scuffle with someone, you could have all the training and the procedure in your mind, but when you're actually in that scuffle, you're going to revert back to kind of what comes naturally. If that officer was, for whatever reason, feeling like he was losing control and that guy's neck was there.
Behind.
Well, there again, that's what I'm saying. I didn't see the video. So
yeah, I did see the video, and I'll have to say this officer was not the officer that was engaged in the situation with the person that should have been ticketed.
Yeah, this is a separate cop.
I didn't see any evidence of physical resisting of arrest, rather than just normal, bickering. And a 4th police officer who was not involved in the arrest or in the citation decided to jump in from behind and apply a blind naked choke and take someone to their stomach, which is you can be fired.
Okay.
He was non-compliant, but you could argue he was non-violent.
Non-compliant, you still don't break protocol. There's a reason why that is listed as a fireable offense.
All right. You say that they were attempting to subdue him because he was being belligerent or whatever. What are the rules?
Hold on. The 3 cops in front were just talking to him.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that they were encircling him or whatever. what are the rules about, like, if you're trying to subdue or whatever? Do you have to state, like, we're putting you under arrest, or like?
Absolutely.
Well, that wasn't an arrestable offense. So what they should have been doing is maintaining distance, de-escalating the situation, and explaining the citation. They shouldn't have been engaged.
Detain them for their own safety while they do that. That doesn't mean they have to arrest them. And if you resist that, then
Doesn't
what are they
change
going
the
to
fact
do?
that everything they did is against protocol and against training. And in fact, a rear naked choke taken to a stomach is a fireable offense in almost every department.
And how come he's not fired?
Because
Yeah, then why are they
the official
clear.
position of the police department, if you read the official the position of the police union and the police department, is that he did not apply a chokehold. And that is
Oh, hey, man, so I'll tell you what, if I choke you out, you ain't saying shit. You know?
Exactly.
So
try
I
that.
got news for you. That dude resisted arrest, out him, and he died. That's all there is to it.
For resisting arrest. And you don't. There's a reason why you don't do blind naked chokes, taking someone to their
Reason
stomach.
you don't
It is illegal.
Resist arrest either. Yeah, there's
He
a reason you don't
wasn't-
resist arrest.
No, you know what? You have the legal right to resist a wrongful arrest.
Oh, that's the way you're going to go?
Whoa,
I'm
hold
just
on.
saying.
Well, you mean,
That
you
is
mean
a lawful order.
Hold on.
You mean the
Now,
civil rights?
a lawful
wait,
order.
hold on. Yeah, now wait a second. Let's not all jump on this because, honest to God,
Yeah,
when
you
you
know
go back,
lawyers on the side of the road. You don't have the right to
when
arrest
you
me.
go back and watch these chats, it's frustrating as shit because you can't hear what anybody's saying when we get to talking over each other. So one at a time. But let me start. Technically, in all theory, you are correct that you do have the right to resist an unlawful arrest. That is just it's something written in the law somewhere. Realistically, that
You're
is
rolling the dice.
absolutely the worst thing you could ever do. I would not ever even I wouldn't even say that out loud to anybody. That's if you feel, and I've said this before, and I always get jumped on for it because they're like, "Oh, you're being a pussy. You're just giving up your rights." If you feel like it's not a legitimate charge, a legitimate whatever, you need to fight that shit in court. Standing on the side of the road and arguing with an officer is going to do nothing but either get you an additional charge or escalate the situation to where you guys are going hands-on and then you have assault on a police officer, or if the officer is a real asshole and beats you, then what have you done? You've got yourself, regardless if you're 100% correct, you're still getting your ass whooped and you're still getting locked up. Not saying that's right by any means, but the fact of the matter is arguing with an officer on the side of the road will never end well for you. That is what the lawyers are for, and that's what the courts are for.
Actually, it can end very well for you. There's lots of very wealthy people that resisted it and then sued the city after the police beat them. So it can end well for you, but most of those holdovers of it's illegal to willfully to resist a lawful arrest up to an unlawful arrest up to including deadly force is the way most of them are worded, is kind of a holdover from a day back when if you might disappear if you got arrested unlawfully, and it's just never kind of gone away. Nowadays, I agree, it's better off to just go, whatever you say, my lawyer will say different. But then you got to remember also a certain segment of society that doesn't have that option. They don't have a lawyer. They can't afford a lawyer. They're not going to get any recourse if they get arrested. They're just going to be thrown into the system and told to pay the fine or go to jail.
Yeah,
So if that guy would have put his hands in front of him and allowed himself to be cuffed, he would be alive today.
Why would he have been cuffed? He wasn't being arrested. That's the thing you're missing. He did not commit an arrestable crime.
As I understand, he was being detained to be questioned.
He was not arrested, period. And he cannot be legally detained for questioning on a non-crime. So he had no recourse.
Why were they talking to him?
They were talking to him because he was selling cigarettes, which is a ticketable offense. That's a
crime.
But
there's a difference.
There's a difference, but is it a crime? But I tell you what, if they approach that suspect, whatever's going on, their statute states it's just a citation or warrants a citation. They could have easily done that at the time where if that guy, and I don't know, what happened, I wasn't there, but if that guy started getting belligerent or saying, you know, just leave me alone, fuck you, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm just selling some cigarettes, why are you guys harassing me, yada yada, whatever the dialogue was. At that point, depending on his level of, you know, whatever the banter was back and forth, they could then charge him with disorderly conduct, and they could have then detained him. So there's all sorts of, and that's the thing, man. And
Could charge him with disorderly conduct if they had lawful reason to hold him.
right, and that's the thing. That's what's so shitty is, I mean, I'll be, you, if a cop wants to arrest you, he has more law on his side. He'll find something to charge you with. Now, whether or not those charges stick, or whether or not you're actually convicted, is a whole different thing. That's why I said that's a case for the courts to decide. But right then and there, on the side of the road, or in the, you know, wherever you're at, if that officer is bound and determined to arrest you, you are going to jail or something.
And if they are doing something unjust or questionable, and you don't resist, and then you take them to court, that helps your case a lot. It really helps your case a lot.
Right. I'm not advocating resisting an unlawful arrest because it is going to end bad. I'm just saying you do have that right.
No. Who are you to determine what is a lawful and an unlawful detainment? What about DUI stops? Do you blow right through those and say, fuck you, cop, you don't have the right to stop me? Fourth Amendment, motherfucker.
You know what? I've never, ever once gone through DUI checkpoint. So I wouldn't know.
Well, would you stop?
Do you want the honest answer or the bullshit answer? Because no, I know all the side streets in my area. I'd go the fuck around.
Depends on what state you're in. In most states, they declared that stopping someone for a DUI check is a lawful stop. In some states, they've declared that it is not a lawful stop.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're talking. You want state law, and it differs from state to state.
It's not a state. It's unreasonable search and seizure.
No, there are some states that their state Supreme Court has determined that DUI checkpoints are within their state and the federal Constitution, and they're okay with them. There are a couple states that are still questioning. There are a couple states that are still hearing whether it's lawful.
So you're driving through one of those states that, you know, thinks that it's lawful, and you don't believe that it's lawful, so you think it's okay to just blow through.
That's my mistake. So I'm making a mistake if I think it's not lawful and it is lawful. But if it's not lawful, that's a different thing. So are you trying to decide?
I'm not the one to determine that on the side of the road.
If you know your rights, you can determine that on the side of the road.
Like if a police officer came up to me right now and I'm not doing anything and said, hey, give me some ID, and I said, hey, no, I respectfully decline, that's well within my rights to do. I'm correct in that. If I say I'm not stopping for the DUI check and I'm going to make a run for it, that's not within my rights.
Well, I'm not saying make a run for it. Typically speaking, anytime I went out with friends, if there was a checkpoint, I knew where that checkpoint was 4 hours before I ever left my house. So, no, I've never had to deal with it.
That has zero bearing on the point of what you're saying.
You have every right to decide whether a lawful arrest is lawful or not, but just like you have a right to be wrong.
Yeah, you have a right to be wrong. The police have a right to take you down.
And if you're wrong, and they arrest you anyway, then you will be shown that you were wrong in a court of law. So,
well, this whole attitude of everyone thinks that they're right and that they are the attorney on the side of the road and they determine what's a lawful order and what isn't a lawful order is what led to this guy's death.
No, the NYPD.
His arrest at all. What led to his death was that someone overzealous decided to put an illegal move on someone and detain him.
Why did they do that? Why did they do that?
Why did he do that? That's the question. Why did he break all of his training?
Because he was non-compliant. Because the 400-pound guy was non-compliant.
The situation was not. Didn't meet the criteria for that.
There was no violent confrontation in that situation. None.
If they needed to detain him, how were they going to detain him?
If they needed to detain him, that's fine. He wasn't walking away. He was standing with his back against the doors, pretty much. So he wasn't walking away. They weren't following him down the street. If he walks away and they follow him down the street and they feel they can't handle the situation on their own without using illegal force, then they just walk behind him, radio for help until they have enough people to do it with legal force and take him down. That's how you would do it. You don't ever resort to illegal force to take someone down.
They got their panties in a bunch because he challenged their authority, and then they just swooped in on him. I'm not saying that the guy shouldn't have just said, okay, but...
If he put his hands in front of him and been cuffed and gone through the motions, he would be alive today.
And here's
You
the
are
thing.
correct.
Let's say a police officer comes up to your car and you're at an expired parking meter, and they're like, I'm going to give you a citation for an expired parking meter. You have every right to take that parking ticket, tear it up in front of them, and throw it on the ground and walk away. And they can cite you for littering if they want, but most of the time they'll just be like, that's fine, because as soon as you don't play that ticket, there's going to be a warrant issued for you, and you're going to be the one that suffers.
And then it's an arrestable
They
offense.
don't choke you to the ground and kill you.
Anybody got anything else now? We're beating a dead horse.
And someone in the court said it's not an illegal move, it's against the regulation. No, it is an illegal move.
Well, let me
Choke is an assault by their code in the city and in the state. So it is
Post the link to the law.
hold on, real quick. In the gun channels chat, someone was asking about the DUI checkpoint, and I want to say it was a federal law that came down. It was a they do have to provide signage for the DUI checkpoint with adequate spacing to give you a chance to turn around. I think that's a federal law now.
turn around and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Take you out later.
Illegal U-turn.
Well, that's the thing that someone asked. They said, well, if you turn around, you'll get pulled over. So generally, there will be an officer staged to get people that do that, and then they say, well, how would they pull you over? And there you go. That goes into what I said earlier. If they're going to find a reason, if they'll say you didn't maintain lane, or they're going to say that you were they can find a reason to pull you over.
Not all cops are that poor either.
Well, you know what's funny?
They really do push the DUI checkpoints. I mean, that's pushed really hard. Two of the things you're pushed on really hard every day is your contacts and your DUI checkpoint behavior, because that is a lot of the funding for the police department. The fact that you're making contact, because by contact they mean writing tickets. And so your civilian contacts and your DUI checkpoint behavior, that is very, very pushed on you, because those tickets pay for a lot of the department's expenses.
But anyway, so I was just addressing that question. So yes, they do have to give you a chance to turn over, but generally you're going to get pulled over anyway for something for them to investigate why you turned around.
Now, see, here's where I'm a dick. Even if I'm sober, I'm going to try to avoid the checkpoint and let them come pull me over. What are they going to get? Are they going to slate me a ticket that I win in court? Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I don't care. I'm like, sure, I don't mind. I know that people driving drunk are a big problem, so I don't mind a minor inconvenience in my life. But, some people might feel differently.
Yeah.
Well, just like you say that they can find something to arrest you for. I mean, having heard all the stuff from the Ferguson garbage, and that's they can indict a ham sandwich. Wouldn't you say that this guy should have been indicted for at least manslaughter, and just put it up there, and then if he's innocent, let it take its course or whatever. But just to not indict him on even just something minor, like, okay, you used a freaking illegal whatever, I mean, I know that the rules of indictment are different. I don't understand it completely, but
well, you got a problem nowadays, and that's you got the prosecutor. The prosecutor is working for the system that he's trying. He is basically, part and parcel with the law enforcement department. So you're basically saying, hey, or try yourself. And that's why you'll notice across the country, a lot of prosecutors in this situation will turn it over to a federal investigator. They don't want to be involved in it because they're trying their own. When they refuse to do that when requested, that always makes me wonder what they're hiding. Because most of them turn it over to a federal because they don't want to be involved in trying their own. That'd be like me sitting on a jury for my my sister or my brother. But somehow that's okay with law enforcement. Who's running this chat?
Wow. Well, I can't believe everybody was quiet for that long. I was shocked.
I think we're all beating a dead horse.
Is it Ralph or Guru, the one that's being the
I'm looking at my pretty new.
Well, they're the same people. Guru, Glock Guru, Ralph the Cat, 399 Guns are all the same.
I'm busy looking at my pretty new OD green Glock frame.
I'm just waiting for him to come back on here and argue.
Oh, did you see the? Did you?
I'll tell you what.
Who's all the same?
Hold on. What were you saying, Ralph? You're kind of breaking up there.
I'm saying I'm here. I'll talk about whatever you want to.
Okay. Well, a little off topic, but we'll talk guns real quick, and then we'll get back onto the riots, because now that there was a whole new thing of riots today.
Yeah, with white people.
Yeah, but
Little Bosnians.
So, did you see Glock's doing a run of complete flat dark earth?
Where have you been?
Vickers guys?
Talking about?
Yeah, that's like months ago.
Oh shit! My gun shop just got him in like 3 days ago.
You guys hear Glock's making a 10mm now?
Fuck you.
Hey, Dippo's making hand warmers too, I heard.
Isn't that like exclusive through like Lipsies or something?
Yeah, it's for Vickers.
It's not really made by Glock.
They end up everywhere.
They're nice looking. Like I said, my local gun shop got some in, and I thought that he sent it off and had it Cerakoted by his guy, and they were like, no, that's straight from Glock.
No, it's not.
Okay, those are the RTF2.
No.
RTF1 frame, the old tiny, really tiny grip.
No, they're Lipsies. The all FDE ones are Lipsies exclusives, and Lipsies sends the slides out and has them Cerakoted, but the Vickers FDE RTF2s are Glock.
Okay.
Yes, are Glock exclusives. They only made a couple thousand of those.
Yeah, the Vickers are the ones I was
That's the one
about a couple days ago.
I saw.
My buddy got one. He says it's really sweet. He likes it a lot.
I haven't released the 19s yet, and I'll have one when they do.
Yeah, I like the color.
He's got a 19. He got the 19 one. You can get the 19 version Vickers gun.
No.
So the last thing I said when I saw just one that had a flat dark earth grip, I was like, it's a shame that the whole gun couldn't be diarrhea colored.
No, that's not tight. That's a great color on the gun. All right, so what's the deal with the riot? Someone there again. I've been at work all day. Someone in the chat earlier said, "Why aren't y'all talking about the riots today?"
Yeah, what's with the white people rioting? White people usually don't riot when their baseball team.
Well, it's the Bosnian community had one of their people murdered by a bunch of black people in a riot outside Ferguson, and now they're protesting it because they want to see justice. They're trying to find the fourth criminal on that one. Beat him to death with some hammers.
Oh, that's the guy.
Horrible crime, dude. Why would you do that to somebody?
That's another thing. I love how they completely ignore. Now, I'm not saying this in a way to be racist. I think everyone that watches my videos or knows me knows that I'm not that racist. But the one thing I'm really noticing that they're ignoring is they're ignoring the fact that there's like roving bands of minorities now. And believe me, I understand they're frustrated and they're angry, but that doesn't give you the right to go around and just be like, well, let's just fucking attack cars on the street or attack white people because the system's holding us down. Well, if that one white person didn't do anything to you, you're a criminal when you're doing that shit.
Well, it's one-upsmanship. Yeah. They saw Ferguson in flames, so they got to take it to the next level.
And like you're attacking someone that's innocent that might even be on your side. You can't go around and act like an animal just because you're mad because people treat you like animals.
And they used hammers, so it also goes to prove that assault rifles aren't the most dangerous thing on the street.
Yeah, that's
the most dangerous thing on the street is elderly Asian women driving. That's like the trifecta of you're going to die right there. Elderly, Asian, and female.
So Antonio had a question for Yankee. Said, if that move was illegal, why wouldn't they fire him?
Because if you notice, if you read the official police stance made from the union and the police department, they say no naked hold was applied. And that's obviously
he was attempting he was afraid that he was gonna bite the other officers, so they
clearly said that they cannot discern from the video whether a chokehold was applied or not, so they have to discern that no chokehold was applied. I'm like, well, really? Because I can tell that's a chokehold. Just look at it.
Gotcha. All right, the other height.
Talk while you're in a chokehold. I've seen some people at some MMA fights scream their fucking head off in a chokehold.
There's a difference between Someone that's trying to restrain someone via the neck versus someone that's trying to make someone pass out.
There's
I
a
can
proper
hold
way
you.
he's trained to apply that hold, and he was not doing it in any way near the way he's properly trained to do it.
I'm not talking about what that dude did. I'm telling you, just because you put your arm around someone's neck doesn't mean that you're trying to cut off his air, cut off his carotid artery. You can control that person with your arm around his neck and not try to kill him in the process.
Little
I agree
guy
with
trying
what
to
you're
grab big
saying.
guy, not getting good position. I mean, he maybe wasn't going for that, but he was just too small to get all the right position on the guy, and that's just where he ended up slipping to. Who knows?
The inside
There's
of
a
his
million
arm
factors in
was
that.
hung up on his chin for a
There might be
while.
lots of reasons why he ended up in that position, but the fact is, the position he ended up in is completely against regulations. Plus, even after he took him down, regulations clearly state when you take someone to the ground, you do not place them on their face if you put them in a chokehold.
Obviously not, or he would be fired. I mean, what's
No, it does. They read the statutes on the news today dozens of times that showed he violated this one, he violated that one, he violated this one, and the police union even admitted that he violated 2 of them, but they said that they would not admit that he applied a chokehold.
But there's a difference between a hold and a choke. One, I'm retaining you.
That was not a retention hold. That was a chokehold.
Well, I agree with what Ralph's saying, because, I mean, I've done some Krav Maga garbage or whatever, and when somebody puts a choke on you, you see stars in seconds.
Like 3 to 5 seconds, you're going to pass out.
Yeah.
If you're strong enough to do it and you're not strong enough to resist it. And if you're strong enough to resist it, that's a different story. I've seen people try to choke people twice their size and twice their strength before. Their necks are too strong. They're able to get their head down. They can resist it. So no, let's not all think we're Rambo and we can choke anybody out that we put our arms around, because that ain't how it is.
That.
Maybe he wasn't choking the guy out.
There's 2 different things. He probably died from people laying on him.
He died of a heart attack or something.
He died from, according to the official coroner's report, from compression to his throat and adding into his abdomen as he was on the ground.
I thought he died of a heart attack.
No, it was caused by compression to his throat and abdomen, bringing on respiratory arrest, causing a heart attack.
So people laying on top of him could have killed him, not choking him, right?
It's all added up, and that's all part of it. Laying on
right?
is not allowed either.
So let's say it's not the choke. Let's say it's people laying on top of him. Does that change things somehow?
You see all of them charged?
Is a dog pile illegal? This is the point. It's questionable.
A dog pile on someone on their face is against regulations. I don't know if that's illegal, but that's against regulations.
Well, the whole thing is just a giant clusterfuck, and there's nothing we can do about it now. So it's just beating a dead horse. I mean, shit.
Well, no, I don't think that's true, because we are dealing with a system that is broken, where there is a certain
I don't think it's as broken as everybody thinks it is. The media sure makes it out to be super busted.
Well, no, there's a certain segment of the population right now that are civilian officers that are immune to prosecution, and it can't be that way.
What do you mean? He's just a cop that was charged with slapping a guy that had a gun in the back of his truck. He got fired and charged. They're not immune to shit.
They're mostly, yeah. If it goes to a grand jury, show me a grand jury indictment in the last 10 years.
Oh my God.
That didn't go to a federal level.
Cop.
That didn't go to a federal level and wasn't handled by a federal prosecutor. Go ahead and show me one.
Yeah, let's see. Here it is.
Well, real quick, while you're trying to look that up, this is jumping all over the place, but this guy just sent me a message on the thing, and I'm assuming this is from when we were talking about full auto earlier. I hope this dude's still watching. It's Shinobi Hog. He said, "How about the fact that we cannot have full auto is a motherfucking infringement of our rights." Of our rights. I'm assuming he meant to put of our rights. So I hope you're still listening out there, Shinobi, because we can have full auto.
Yeah,
We just have to have a license.
Full auto. We just have to have a license and about $30,000. So.
Yeah. Oh, and
Not
honestly,
quite that much.
full auto's not. It's not that hard to get a hold of. Like, if you have the money, you can do it. People are scared by NFA items and stamps. You gotta wait a while, but it's it's really not very difficult. It's just a monetary
Well,
issue.
that's where you become a gun manufacturer, and you can make all the
Yeah, if
machine
you're an
guns you want. You
SOT,
just
then
can't
you
sell
can.
them to
Yeah, if
anybody
you're an
but cops and
SOT, you
military.
could make them. But if to go out and buy a full auto, you're going to spend 20 grand at a minimum.
But it's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
a restriction.
Durable
That
gun.
is still a restriction. Why? I don't understand why the Supreme Court can say a $10 poll tax is an unnecessary restriction on voting, and I agree that that is. The poll tax is a restriction on voting. So that a five or a $10 poll tax is a constitutional violation, but making it to where you have to have thousands of dollars to have a full auto isn't an
Well,
unnecessary.
the NFA is a violation of your rights regardless because you're paying a tax on a freedom to have a short barrel rifle or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, it's violating your freedom not to have a full auto. At the same time, though, there are legal means of getting a full auto that, yes, may not be constitutional, but you still, as a civilian of America, can get a full auto gun if you need it.
Okay, as a matter of fact, he just sent another message. Shinobi did. He said my point was going to the extra steps are the infringement. So I guess he meant exactly what you just said. The fact that you have to have a license or get
Yeah.
some kind of
Pay
paperwork
taxes.
is the
Yeah, SOT is a special operations tax you pay as your Class 7 manufacturer to
Right.
cover your tax stamps.
Well, I can get behind that then. As far as what he was saying, I honestly thought he didn't know that we could own full auto, because some people really don't. Like, honest to God, when I showed some of my, like my regular friends, the video from Iraq vet, just kind of gun guys, but not really. They were like, "Oh my God, how do they have full auto guns? You can't own those." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?"
You'd be surprised how many people I've had people actually say to me, "Well, you can't own a 500 caliber handgun. Aren't those illegal?" I'm like,
Well, it's
It's not even so much the tax on the full auto guns. It's the whole supply and demand issue. Like what is it? What was it? Is it 68 or
86.
86.
86. The
68.
them doing the bullshit to where you can't. There's a finite amount of machine guns, and those are it. That's an infringement right there. That's where they really fucked us.
Well, the infringement was stopping it and not allowing anybody else to continue to make machine guns for sale. So that's just supply and demand, because there's only so many out there.
I mean, I don't see why they don't say, hey, you can make your own machine gun, but like kind of do it like at the $200. $200 way back in the day, that was a lot of money. Why don't they just say, okay, it's $10,000 tax stamp?
Well, that's still infringing on my freedom.
They kind of did it with machine guns on $200 tax stamps recently, and it kind of got a mess. Somebody might know this more than me, but basically it's illegal for an individual person to make a machine gun. However,
But a trust can.
Exactly. The way the trust is worded, a trust is not an individual person. So I think there was 3 people, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 people made machine guns with a trust that the ATF approved the tax stamp. And then the ATF tried to revoke the tax stamp, so now they're getting
They
sued,
did
basically saying-
revoke it. Yeah.
Yeah, now they're fighting it still. And they'll be fighting it forever. The government will just waste them out of their money. That's all they'll do. They'll just keep appealing it. But yeah, that was hilarious. They found a loophole. The ATF fell into it, and they're like, "Oh, damn!" They fucking backtrack like they always do.
Well, yeah, and isn't that crazy though? Because they approve it, but then since it's the government, as soon as they realize they fucked up, they can just say, "Oh, no, we didn't mean to do that. You're canceled."
The ATF is a glorified IRS. That's all they're there. All they give a shit about at the end of the day is making money. They don't care about the rules. They'll just make more rules so they can make more money.
Not really.
They're there to collect a tax. They come to your gun shop to make sure you follow their regulations and pay your taxes on your shop. It's literally, they are underneath the IRS. They're not underneath the DOJ like they should be. I mean, they're trying to make them under the DOJ, but they're just part of the IRS.
See, I told you, I knew Yankee would go stainless on that frickin' slide.
This is not the custom build. This is for Gary's makeover. This is a G33 slide. The shorty.
You just ordered that off Or did you have the slide worked on? Or the
I ordered the slide from Lone Wolf, and then you can have it sent to a milling company that will mill the pattern onto it. So it just came like this. And the barrel was free because they're giving away free barrels now when you buy a slide of this model. So.
Would that slide in the milling cost?
What I'm telling my family or what it actually cost? It was, I believe it's 220 or something like that for the frame, and then another 165 for the milling.
That's reasonable. I mean, it's not bad.
But then the barrel was free, so it kind of worked out. It's pretty, real pretty, kind of sharp in some places. Pretty.
So about the ATF, if to me, if they were money driven, then they would hire more people to process and get more money because they're backlogged so far as it is. And
Dude, they're the government.
Yeah, but that's called job security. We have the same thing with LCC here in Oregon. They're like, well, you're so backlogged, hire more people, and then every time they give them money to hire more people, they refuse it because they want to maintain their job security.
And do you know it's BATFE, and the E is over 50% of their budget.
Yeah, they are at one point they were the most profitable government agency of any agency. So yeah, they're loving that money. But I've always said, if you really, really want to just make money, okay, we'll make silencers. Okay, you go into a store and you pay $50 and you can buy a silencer right now, because they would sell 10 times as many silencers, make 5 times as much money.
Well, they should definitely legalize short-barreled shotguns, rifles, and silencers. There's no reason that you should have to pay a tax on any of that thing, because they're not any more dangerous or any more lethal because the barrel's 6 inches shorter.
I don't support taxes on them. I don't support the tax at all. But if there's got to be one, why can't it just be an instant thing? Like, okay, you bought a silencer.
Yeah.
Okay, here's your instant fee of $50. You got to pay an extra fee, and we got to call you into the ATF again in a special department and make sure you're not a super duper bad guy, and then you can have your silencer today or your short barreled rifle today.
Well, I'm not defending how long it takes in any means or the ATF, because I think that's garbage. You have to wait so long. But there's been a lot of like, oh, it takes forever. Form 1s for an SBR are about a month now, and Form 4s are like paper filed 4 or 5 months. So, like I said, I don't want to defend them, but they are speeding it up. Like, if you can get a suppressor in 4 or 5 months as opposed to a year and a half, it's garbage, but it's something.
You know, all they're doing is running a secondary NICS check and filing your paperwork. They're not doing anything all that much more exciting.
No, they don't.
They're just filing you away.
That's what I was saying. What are they doing? Making sure that you're not a super duper bad guy? Because you already proved you weren't a bad guy with your NICS check. So what else are they looking at to make sure you don't?
It's a second NICS check. Literally all it is.
And you're like, okay, we know you're not a criminal, but let's make sure now that you don't, like, eat puppies or kick babies or something.
Oh. Well, I think if you have a concealed weapons permit, that should just be like your secondary NICS check, and you should be able to buy anything you need without having to go through that. They already have all your fingerprints and shit. Why would you need to keep sending it in for every time you buy a suppressor? You know,
and here
are you on file?
Here it's not even a NICS check. In some states, if you have your concealed carry permit, you don't have to go through the background check. Here, you got to still go through it.
In Idaho, they send you through the FBI. They do a state deal, and then they send it off to the FBI.
In Texas, basically, you can apply for whatever with a trust, which, if anybody's filled out a trust, it's your name and address and no social, no driver's license number, no like specific identification. You have your CHL. When the stamp comes in, you can go there and pick it up, and that's it. Like, the whole system is. Like, you're waiting 6 months for what? Like, where's the check going in? Okay, your trust is legit, and you got a CHL, so there you go. Like, it's a waste of resources for them to look it up.
They've got to move the stack of papers from this side of the room to that side of the room.
Yeah, so. They got to get out of their fucking air chair and walk. Oh my god, 12 feet. It's going to take 12 months.
Yeah, your chair. I ain't getting out of mine.
Bottom line is, though, it should be completely. They should just legalize all that stuff and make it normal. Because your gun's not more dangerous with a shorter barrel. It's just dumb.
So my big
I'm
thing
okay with
is
them saying things like, okay, if you commit a crime with a short-barreled rifle, there's an extra charge we can throw on you. But
yeah.
having it,
Why
that's
not?
not a crime.
So, like, here's a 7.5-inch 5.56. Here's a 7.5-inch Thunder Blackout. Like, if anything, by going short, especially on the 5.56, I'm making it less dangerous. Like, it's horrendously crippling.
Or less lethal,
The round.
anyways.
Yeah. So,
It's about concealability. It's not about.
Well, the
lethality.
thing is, though, is now
do you think you can
pistols and put a
conceal
brace
this
on them.
very easily? Like, that's not.
But better than a 60.
Especially, well, now we're at basically 15 inches now. Like, that's not something you can hide very easy. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just dumb. All of it is just dumb. It's just a way to get your tax money.
Well, I mean, I just love the whole notion, too, that if you are going to be in a situation where you're going to conceal it and commit a crime with it, that you're going to be bothered by the fact that, oh, I can't go in there and murder all these people because it's illegal to have this gun.
Yeah.
Pretty much. If you're gonna do if someone's doing a criminal act, it doesn't matter. They're doing a criminal act. It doesn't matter what they're using.
I've never once heard someone say, you know, I would rob that bank, but it's illegal for me to purchase a firearm.
Yeah. So they go out and steal one.
And back to the thing that happened in Austin recently, that guy that was either shooting full auto or slide fire or had a really fucking
fast
rhythmic finger was a convicted felon. He was like got hit for bank robbery, and he got a hold of that. So, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, they just had that crazy lone wolf ISIS lady fucking go through a mall in Abu Dhabi and stab someone to death stab an American lady with a kitchen knife.
Yeah.
You know, and then used a homemade bomb. You know, well, if someone's determined to do a crime, they're gonna fucking do it.
Well, I can't
They're
say
gonna, by any means.
I can't say too much about that because even though I am not Islamic, I have many, many times wanted to stab women to death in the mall.
But I mean, I think like if this is kind of against my beliefs on the Second Amendment and all that, but if they were to say pay $200 to get a suppressor or SBR, you know, full auto immediately, I think more people would do it. Like more people would be willing to fund them if they said, okay, here's a 24-hour turnaround time. There you go.
Yeah,
Hell, you could even raise the price. You could say,
hey, no, let's not talk about raising prices. Let's just make.
Yeah, we're
I'm
saying
saying
$200.
if they said, hey, here's a $2,000 tax stamp. You can make anything full auto. I'd say, fuck yeah. I'd be on board all day long.
It's still,
Yeah.
but it puts it out of the means of everybody, which is infringing on certain groups of financial status. And
So you're
discriminating
saying
against
that
them
that's
and
worse
infringing
than
their
what they're
freedom.
doing now?
Well, $200 is still too much. It's just regardless. It shouldn't be a taxed anything. So
It shouldn't
Well,
be.
if $200 is too much, then you shouldn't have a full auto anyways, because you're going to go through $200 in about 10 seconds.
But what if
In
say you
ammo,
could-
you're blowing thousands of dollars of ammo a weekend.
That's just because I own it doesn't mean I can afford to feed it. I've got guns I can't afford to feed. I can't afford to feed my Smith & Wesson 460 or my 500. I can't afford to feed them, but I still own them, and I shouldn't be restricted from owning them.
But what if you had like a DPMS or whatever, $600 AR-15, and they offered a full auto version for $1,200? Do you think everybody would buy the $1,200, or would the majority of people be like, oh, I'm still buying the $600?
I can say probably the vast majority of people, if they're like me, and I'm saying if they're like me, would still only buy the regular one because I don't have
this
any
cool guy's
desire.
got a happy switch.
I don't have any desire for a full auto. I mean, I've shot them in the military, etc., and I found them to be worthless. You know, all they do is waste money and ammo. So
Yeah.
I would rather have a reliable semi-auto than I would a full auto any day of the week.
And that's what I was saying earlier before you joined. Like, I love shooting full auto, don't get me wrong. but it goes really fast. It's like, oh, there's $15 gone in a few seconds, and they're hard to manage. Like,
Yeah, I love when you watch the two things I love the most when you see full auto fire in movies is one, you'll see them, they'll lay out with these little subcompact fully automatics, and then there's a perfect little line of bullets going across the ground in front of the guy. I'm like, no, that would look more like bullets all over the fucking place than it would that perfect little line following them as they jump behind, the flower bed or whatever they jump behind. I was like, and two, they continue to fire for like 30 or 40 seconds without reloading. And I'm like, as soon as they start to fire and they go, blah, I'm like, that's empty. And then they keep going. You're like, nope, that was empty after after 1 second.
I mean, I honestly think on target, if I had to, say, get 30 rounds on target in a specific amount of time, I could do it better with a semi-auto.
Oh, absolutely.
The dangerous thing, if somebody's going to shoot at me with an AR or an M16, like, I would rather them have full auto because they might get the first shot on target, but then everything else, if they just hammer on the trigger, is going to be all over the place. Like it's not very easy to stay on target.
I'm going to have to say that there's a learning curve or whatever because I can lean into it. I mean, do my thumb over top, hold that barrel down, and I can, like a 12-inch plate, I can dump an entire magazine into a 12-inch plate easy.
So on that, so you can mag dump 12-inch plate, but you said there's a learning curve. Is that going to be any more lethal than someone with the same amount of time on a semi-auto to be the same lethality in the same period? Like,
I would
30
say,
rounds,
like Travis hit
rounds
in front of him.
Still going to be real bad.
I would say it's actually less. I mean, your best bet scenario, if you can mag dump onto a 12-inch plate with a full auto, is you're going to really kill one person. Whereas someone with a semi-auto and the same number of rounds can really kill 5 or 6 people in relatively close to the same amount of time.
Well, my point was it's not as all over the place as what Onyx is.
Yeah, you definitely have to learn to shoot it.
No, and I'll give you that. Like, if you've got time to learn and money to spend on ammo, you can be on target. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's like flying all over the room, but if you've got some guy that just goes out and buys a gun and it's full auto and he doesn't really practice with it or know how to use it, like, he's going to dump a mag into one target and spray the area around it versus being able to transition quickly.
Kind of like the North Hollywood shootout. They didn't hit a lot of anything. I mean, they hit stuff, but they really didn't. They weren't really effective.
Yeah, but they were doing a lot of that, holding the gun up over the car, and I mean, they weren't. It wasn't like they were shouldering and facing their targets. They were just kind of spray and pray.
Well, you got to remember, in
Thank God.
Stressful situations, one of the rules of combat, and most police officers find this to be true, as do soldiers. In stressful situations, the number one rule of combat is most bullets miss. So if you're firing full auto, well, then you got even more bullets missing.
Yeah.
I watched some of them. They had a series on Nat Geo, and they had a firefight at some base in Afghanistan. Dude, these guys shot like at least 9 pallets worth of 7.62 out over this freeway at the Taliban for 12 solid hours. That was a lot of shooting.
Damn, that's crazy.
But I did learn
like 12 people.
The other day from watching a clip from a TV show that Navy SEALs can shoot you in the eye from 200 yards away from the back of a bouncy truck, no matter what they're doing.
Gotta love Hollywood.
Because they got them Spectre L cans on their guns, dude. Don't you know that guides the bullet into the target?
I was like, that's a little far-fetched. They showed this commercial for this movie, and it's like they're in the back of a truck bouncing up and down, and a guy behind them's, a good 50 yards behind them driving the truck, and of course both guys pull up their rifles and go pap, pap, and shoot both guys right through the eyeballs with one shot each.
You must be thinking of, God, what was the movie? Act of Valor.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I was like, that's a little unrealistic.
There was a lot of wicked headshots in that movie.
All these one-shot, one kills from distances with motion are a little unrealistic.
They were Navy SEAL actors, man.
That was a good freaking movie, though.
It was a fucking awesome movie. It was
I
so
guess that's what
America.
Navy SEALs can do if they have their SAG card.
All right. Well, guys, that's been a good chat. I think I'm gonna shut it down before it goes downhill or anything. So, it's, I'm
Quit while we're ahead.
end
That's
on
a good
yeah,
idea.
exactly. Quit while we're ahead on a good note, because we did have a pretty decent chat going there. So, I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. We do this every Thursday, 10 o'clock Eastern, after Tack Daddy Live. If you're not familiar with Tack Daddy's show, he does his at 9 Eastern on Thursdays.
I thought you were going to say if you're not familiar with Tack Daddy's show, you're lucky.
I mean, for some people. But anyway, man, I appreciate everybody that tuned in and appreciate you guys on the panel that helped carry this conversation. And we'll do it next week. Later.
All right, take it easy, everybody.